Hey, what's up, players? Chicago and I back again, and we're doing another video in our series called Intel Bytez. And today we're going to call this one "Put a Sock in It," and you'll understand why in just a few minutes. Now, I've noticed that I've been doing a lot of these Intel ones, these cyber threat Intel based ones. Haven't been doing very many of the pop, another server drops or any of those. I do plan on continuing doing some more of those, but my real life job has me doing the cyber threat Intel, so it's kind of top of mind. And I got a few comments that wanted some more of these privacy, osint, cyber threat intel related videos. So if you guys are digging this, and this is really what you guys want to see more of the cyber threat intel and osint kind of stuff, then leave me a comment in my channel. Let me know what you guys think of the content. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about what they call a sock puppet. You're probably thinking, what? Blair, are you smoking crack? What are you talking about, man? What's this got to do with Intel and security and all that? Well, in the actual osint world or terminology, they have a term called sock puppet for a covert type of account that you would use for different social media and things like that. Things that can't be tied to you specifically, so fake accounts essentially. And they're used for different things like doing your regular osint research, doing some dark web forum searching and posting, things like that. So you don't want ones that are actually tied to you, because, you know, people start finding out you're poking and prodding and investigating them. Then, you know, we don't know what kind of power they wield or who their connections are. So we got to make sure that they don't know who this is that's actually doing it. So speaking on the sock puppets, the first order of business in relation to that would be that if you're going to create these, make sure you do not create them from your own network, your own home network, because again, the stuff can be tied via IP address, things like that, as far as you registering for different things. So make sure you go to your library, public Wi-Fi somewhere, and create these particular accounts, and create as many as you're going to need. And when you start thinking about these these different types of accounts, the idea is to think about what is the intent of what I want to use this one for. For example, if I simply want to find out some information about somebody on Facebook, and that's part of my investigation that I'm tasked with, I need to find out maybe they're into video gaming. So I make a profile, I make a fake account where I build a storyline and create a character that is focused around video game stuff. And even if it's not something that is in your wheelhouse, even though video gaming is in my wheelhouse, I love playing some video games, you have to kind of research it and make sure it's a reliable and believable story. And this particular one you want to have so that algorithms on different websites aren't going to detect that it's a fake account, because a lot of times they'll ban your IP address or domain if they detect it's going to be, you know, a fake account. And there are some social media sites out there that are making it really difficult to do these sort of things, like Facebook and such. And some of them require things like phone numbers and all kinds of good stuff like that, which obviously decreases your anonymity. But we're going to talk about some of that stuff here today. Now, one of the first things that you do when you talk about this sort of thing, or when you're going to be using any type of fake profile, whenever you create an account, more than likely they're going to have like a space to do a profile pic. And the idea is that you want to do a profile pic that is not, I guess you could say, it's obviously going to be, it has to be somebody that's real. But, well, let me rephrase that. It has to appear as if it's real, because a lot of different metadata in pictures, algorithms or osint people can go ahead and trace down where that picture is at or is taken from, and be able to garner some different information about the person in that picture. And if it can't find any of those sort of things, then it may flag it. It may say, hey, we don't think this is a real profile pic, so on and so forth. And you typically want to use a face. You don't want to use like dumb little icons or anime or stupid emojis or anything like that, because again, it kind of takes away the legitimacy of that actual account. So let's go over here and show you a site that I I found is pretty awesome. The site is called, and I'm going to put these in the link in the chat room. So the site's called "This Person Does Not Exist." Now you're probably looking at it going, okay, so she doesn't exist. Well, if I hit my refresh button, there's another person that doesn't exist. Refresh, another person that doesn't exist. So basically you would use these to create your profile pic. is pick one of these, save the picture, and use that. Now you can also use real pictures. I wouldn't use any stock photography that you find on Pixabay or some stupid crap like that, because again, they can try to geolocate and they can look at metadata for that or exfil data. So if you're going to be using stock photos or not using a site like this, make sure that you morph it enough or you process it enough with Photoshop where it still looks real, but it can't be really traced or tracked to be in another picture that it's not, that sort of thing. So when you're making these particular profile pics, this is one of the better ways to do it, because again, there are some sites out there that will kind of look at this stuff and go, hey, this algorithm that we use in this here kind of detects, doing like a reverse image search, that this is not a real profile pic. So they're gonna be like, I don't know about all this stuff. So that's one order of business that you want to do for creating your little account there. Now, before you actually create this sock puppet account, it's a funny name, let's just think for a minute about who you're going to want to be online. Again, it's kind of like playing a game, right? It's kind of like making up a story and role playing, like I'm creating my character, creating my story. Who am I researching? What am I researching? What hobbies does this person have, or what content is related to what I'm actually investigating? And then from there, that's where we can craft our story and craft what we're going to do with it. Now, another thing that's very common, obviously, is the name, because we would want to make sure we're not using somebody's real name that, you know, can be tied to it and get them in trouble of any sort and things of that nature. So I come across this particular site, which is kind of interesting. fakenamegenerator.com. So this is an interesting one here. So up here, you can see I can generate, male, American. I can pick any other one from there, whatever country, and then I generate. And this will actually generate an actual identity for you. It's pretty amazing. So my sock puppet account here would be Alexander R. Johnson, and this is the address of the person. Social security number, I don't know exactly what's going on there. Maybe I have to sign up for this page to actually be able to see that. I'm not really sure, but here's the mother's maiden name, geo coordinates of where you are, because I guess this must be a real place. A phone number, that's definitely important. Now, I wouldn't use this phone number necessarily to create ones that have to verify you by phone, because obviously you're going to need a real phone number to receive a text message from, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. Here it's basically wrote out the story for you. Here's your birthday and your age, your tropical zodiac. Now this one's kind of interesting here, your email address. So it says here, click here to activate this email address. So they actually have something called a fake mail generator. So I'm not going to show you my page, but I'm going to go here and I'm going to actually send myself an email, or send an email to this one here from my Shikaraganai email address, which I know you guys don't really care about. And I'm just going to say pop, pop, pop as the subject. And then for the material, I'll just say Label Jenkins. All right. And I will send that. And it will take a few minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and let that roll for a minute. Now, you didn't see what I typed in there. All you see is my Firefox, but I did bring up another browser, brought up my Shikaraganai Proton Mail, and sent it. So we'll come back here and look at this in just a few minutes, because it does take a little bit of time here. Now, obviously, the downside of this is you have to keep this page up in order to see all your emails, but if it's just to set up an account that just needs an email to activate, and you don't need any emails after the fact, this is perfect for that. And then down here, it looks like there's the username and password. Interesting. And we got an auction website. I don't know even what that is, auctionpainting.com. It's probably not even, let's see here. I'm curious now. Oh, look at that. What is this, a fake page? This is too funny. Too good. Anyways, here's our user agent. Now this is interesting. Credit card. Huh. Interesting. Some employment. So when you look at this here under frequently asked questions, first off they ask, is this illegal? They say no, it's all fake data. All of it is fake data. So they have no problem with you using this for the creation of these types of accounts. It says, where do these identities come from? Names are generated by randomly pulling a first and last name out of a database. So they're all randomly generated. Same with street address, city, state, and postal code. And of course, they have their little fake mail generator, which we saw. Oop, there it is. So there we see there's a legit it's a legit email. So I can actually send information there. So when you actually create the account, it will send it there. You can activate the account and never see this email again. It's up to you. And then when you look back here, it talks about the telephone number. It's compiled a database of valid area codes and prefixes. So if this is only what's needed to sign up, but it's not going to actually text you anything, this is perfectly fine. Mother's maiden name, birthday. So this is an interesting one. Credit card. We use Graham King's PHP credit card generator. The script creates a fake but syntax valid credit card number. Interesting. Social security number. So I'm kind of curious about this. How do we actually get the last 4 digits? That's a little interesting. I'm not really sure on that, but either way, pretty interesting little deal here. So you can basically create your entire account from there. Now, if you wanted to make some usernames, you can use this particular site here called NameCheck, NameCHK. And this will check, see if a username is actually taken or not. And if not, well, there you go. You can use it. So, for example, I do actually have a domain, and I actually have accounts under Shikata Ganai. So if I put in Shikata Ganai, like that, am I spelling right? Shikata, yep. And I do a little search here. We can see that com is taken, but if I hover over this one, .net, should show it if I hover over it. But anyways, I guess it doesn't. Maybe I have to accept their dumb cookies. But in this particular case, the green basically shows what is available. So down here it says click on available right there. So I already have .com sewed up. I have that domain name. Then down here, they also have some different websites. So you can see I'm part of Tumblr, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, GitHub, Facebook, and I don't even know what that is there. And a few other ones that I guess I don't know about. And I don't know what this one is. That's probably for my daughter. I don't play Roblox, so I assume that's that. But anyways, you can see that these other ones are all available right here. So if I wanted to go ahead and set up a username account for a Facebook account or a TikTok or a blogger or whatever, I can use this to see if there's actually a username that's actually being used. So it's pretty awesome, pretty good stuff there. One thing to remember too, like that information I showed you on that one page that has all that different name and information, it's a good idea to write all these things down and put it into a password database like KeePass. So I myself use KeePass XC. I use it because it's an offline password manager, and I don't prefer the online ones like LastPass or anything like that because, again, they're online. I prefer everything to be offline where I can make multiple copies, and I'm not worried about somebody tapping into it for that. So it's a good idea to take all of your sock puppets and then list them all in there, and then in the notes section of KeePass, put all that information in there so you don't forget it. And the other reason is you want to be able to have it handy for when you come to a form on a page, because there are some websites out there that have algorithms that will detect, and they're out there trying to detect fraud or fraudulent accounts. They'll actually detect how long you're taking to fill out a form. So if the form has things like your street address, your birthday, your favorite dog, those are things that should automatically come to mind, and it should be quick. You should be able to enter those in quickly. If you're not doing that and it's timing it, it's going to kind of go ahead and say, you know what, it's taking them quite a while to answer these basic questions about themselves. It's probably a fake account. So make sure you have it handy. But the other thing is, don't copy and paste them, because there is also algorithms that are being used to determine that as well on different sites. Now, not all platforms do this, but the ones that are really aggressive as far as blocking like these fake accounts do those sort of things. Sometimes you may get something like a security question that says, what's your mother's maiden name? Hey, you already have it, right? Because you can come back here to this particular one, generate random name, and then right there's the mother's maiden name. If you put that in your KeePass, it's ready to go. So anytime that you will need to use that, ready to rock and roll on that. As far as the phone numbers go, the best way to do this, if the site requires a phone number for activation of the account, like I think Facebook and all them do it, one option is a VoIP phone or a Google Voice, but a lot of these sites today block a lot of that stuff because it is abused. So it's best to just go ahead down to the store, buy a cheap Android phone, and then go ahead down to your local Walgreens or something like that and get a prepaid SIM card for 120 minutes, what have you, and then insert that SIM card into that phone. Or if you have an old phone that you haven't got rid of yet but you don't use it anymore, wipe it first because it still has some some data on there, probably from your account, to kind of tell you who you are. So wipe it, and then go ahead and use that phone, put the SIM card in, and then be able to activate to use it for getting text messages to be able to activate the account. And it's always good to kind of have a burner phone like that anyways as a backup. Like if you don't have a landline and your cell phone falls on the toilet, or you don't have access to your cell phone, or it's dead, it's always good to have a good burner phone anyways on the side to be able to do that. And make sure you have multiple different ones for different sock puppets, because some algorithms would go ahead and look and notice, hey, listen, you're using the same phone number for multiple different accounts. So we don't know about that. So if you're signing up for multiple accounts on Facebook, for instance, and they're noticing the same phone number all the time for multiple accounts, they're going to go ahead and call you on that more than likely. And not literally, but and so you want to use different phones, different SIM cards for that. They're pretty cheap, like $20-$30 at Walgreens or something like that, and then grab that on there for those. So it's always good. And then if you can, mark on your SIM card what sock puppet account this actually goes to, so you don't mix it up, right? So if you know, hey, I'm going to be using this for this particular sock puppet, and it uses MFA, and the MFA asks for a phone number to be able to text it to you, then swap out the SIM card that you have in your phone with that one, and you are good to go. Another thing is, buy these burner phones with cash. Do not use any type of thing that can trace back to you at all, credit cards, things like that. Even though there are some ways that you can create safe, anonymous credit cards, or we won't get into that, but there's ways that you can create safe, anonymous credit cards to be able to use for that. But I would always recommend straight up cash, and that's it. And that's what I recommend for everything for technology-wise, because I mean, if you go to your Best Buy, you go to any of these other stores, a lot of times they'll be sitting there asking you for your email and your phone number and all this other stuff. I just tell them, man, go spit. I'm not going to do this stuff, bro. I'm not. No, here's cash. Cash is king. Take it, or you lose me as a customer. Plain and simple. So same thing here. If they give you a problem, walk out, go to another phone place and grab a phone. Anything that you can pay cash for is what you want. Now, once you've actually activated this phone and are using it for your sock puppet account, it's always good to try to keep it alive, if you will, because some of them will go ahead and see how much activity is going on. And if there's a long bout of inactivity, it will go ahead and cancel whatever that particular account is based on the inactivity. So always kind of phone home, maybe once a week, check your voicemail, or just call your voicemail. Use it on a regular basis if you can. Maybe set a calendar thing so that you will remember, and do it for all your different phones that you actually have. But set a calendar to go ahead and say, hey, listen, Ray, why don't you go ahead and make sure you call your phone here, call your voicemail, make sure it's still remaining active, and all that other kind of good stuff like that. When you actually make these accounts as well, if you're doing it for like forums or message boards, or you kind of use it for like dark web research, that sort of thing, it's always a good idea to go ahead and make sure that you do other things with that account. So for instance, you may go ahead and play a video game or something with it, or a mobile phone game, or what have you. Maybe get in some different conversations that you yourself may not do, right? Because you want to kind of keep your persona way different than what you really are. So if you're not, like for instance, if you're not into politics, your sock puppet could be highly politically charged and have all these highly politically charged posts, and nobody would ever think it's you, because you never do that. You never get on there and post anything political. So make sure that it's always something that is kind of distant from what you really are, so nobody can really tie that to you. And the next step would be to jump on and use this persona in LinkedIn. You can use your LinkedIn stuff because, again, all they really need is an email address, and you already have that from that particular site I showed you there. And when you get in there, it's a good idea to join a bunch of different groups of what your interests are that are on the LinkedIn account. So if the LinkedIn account, your profile is, I don't know, you're a video game designer, you may want to join groups for Unreal Engine and Unity and start posting some cool things in there, or comments, or asking people that are also different things. Like some people will do some Unreal Engine tutorials, and you'll go ahead and start commenting on their posts and saying, hey, these are the top posters in the group, and then get them to go ahead and ask you to connect because they, you have similar interest. And then from there, you can try to go ahead and connect to their connections. And then, but be very careful on the LinkedIn with the connection stuff, because I think they limit daily connection requests to a certain number. So just remember, it may take a little bit of time, but it takes a lot of work to put in a good, solid covert account that you can use and have nobody sniff you out because that's kind of where you're going for that sort of thing anyways. But the LinkedIn thing is great to be able to do because, like I said, you can post all kinds of different impressive certs on there and maybe go out and learn a little bit of the video game design if that's who your character is. And then you post a tutorial in the group saying, hey, check out this new cool thing. And then people like it and they go, hey, that's pretty cool. And next thing you know, you're starting to get these connection requests. I know that happens for me with LinkedIn when I do these videos and post it up there. Every time I post a new video, I always get somebody asking to connect, and they like the videos and this and that. So it's a very common thing to see on LinkedIn when you actually contribute content. Plus, you're building a repertoire, as it were, of your actual character that you're portraying here, so that people can see a trail of information and trail of data and trail of activity that you've been doing online. So it is seen more and more as a real legitimate account, when in reality, it's not. So using covert accounts or sock puppets is a good way to go ahead and tear into doing some more of this osint stuff. I always love doing all these different, or talking about these different cool topics here when it talks about privacy and all these other cool things, because it's just fun stuff. It's good stuff to do. And I like my pop server drop stuff too as well, but these Intel Byte things are really cool to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and don't use it for nefarious purposes. Don't be evil with it, but use it for your osint research. And don't forget, when you create these accounts, do it somewhere else, not on your home network. Go down to your public Wi-Fi and create this amazing, awesome character, and make up stuff. Just have fun with it. Until next time, peace out, players.